All right, welcome everybody. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. It is Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021. And I'm coming to you with a quick sit rep. One of the things I did want to tell you, there are rumors out there that I'm not doing sit reps anymore, and that is not the case. I will continue to do them. I'm just not going to do them as frequently as before, and I am trying to do everything I can to make sure that the information that we're looking at is accurate, because there is a massive disinformation campaign happening, and you'll notice there are a lot of patriots that are kind of getting quiet because we're trying to make sure weeding through all of the information, what's real, what's not. So all right, so based on that, let's get into it. All right, so just a quick look at the skies right now. So today is it's about 11 a.m. Central Standard Time here from the great state of Texas, and we have roughly 309 aircraft up at the moment, which is about 50, 60 higher than our usual count. So very active in the trainer areas, as you guys can see, and right here, just right up the middle of Texas, so all the way from San Antonio up to Wichita Falls and into Oklahoma. Panhandle's pretty hot and heavy as well in terms of trainer activity. So we seem to, as I was looking off the coast here, I just wanted to show you guys this. I think we have a aircraft carrier sitting off the coast. Now this thing has been floating in between Jacksonville and here and up the East Coast for a little while now, but I keep watching these aircraft launch, and they're down at almost ground level, and then they'll roll out very quickly, and then they come land bound. So just off the coast, that's pretty much off of Cape Canaveral, and I think Patrick Air Force Base is right about where that aircraft is right now. But just something to take into mind, given that we don't know if POTUS is down here or not. We're pretty confident maybe he is, but at the same time, there is no TFR in play. And so nothing really to confirm it, because nobody's really seen the guy. There were some eyewitness accounts of people in the clubhouse that said they saw Secret Service, but they never saw him. And there's other people that said they saw him, but they can't confirm it is him. And so they weren't 100%. So he is, if he's down here, he's laying low. If he's not there, we don't know where he is. So with that said, let's take a look real fast. Looks like we've got a H-60 rolling out of just north of Miami, headed out to, looks like out there over the Atlantic towards the Bahamas right now. But I did have some interesting flights yesterday when I was watching, and I'll go ahead and share these with you real fast. But I had a couple of what you call fast movers that came. One came down from about Washington, D.C., and it met up. There was another one took off out of Jacksonville and met up with this other fighter right off just over the Gulf of Mexico. And they were clicking along about 30,000 feet, about 440 knots or 450 miles an hour roughly. But the two of them tightened up, and I don't know where they went. There may be another carrier out in the Gulf. I'm not really positive. Based on that altitude, I mean, anything's possible at 35,000 feet. But they were scooting. And then, of course, we had a joint star that was off the coast of where Trump would be located, off the East Coast. So he was kind of hanging out in the area. And, we're seeing a lot of traffic actually over Florida. Super Bowl that's coming up, and so we'll just take a quick look at the active TFRs. But you can see we got a couple C2, the Rawhides, rolling through. I've seen a couple. That's a 2-ship down here in South Florida right now. So this is back to today. This is live, okay? And so if we go over to the active TFRs, I'm going to show you that we still don't really have anything in terms of, now this one over Tampa is because of the Super Bowl that is there, and I'll share with you here in a minute. We've got the sniffer is down there doing some patterns, which is, I guess you don't want some of all fears, right? So they're doing some patterns around the Tampa area in preparation for the Super Bowl, checking for air quality stuff, nukes and biological chemical weapons, things of that nature. But this one off the East Coast is a space program, and now Trump would be right here. again, that was a red TFR. It was there for about 24 hours, and then when that C-17 departed, so did that circle, and so that is no longer there. Okay. So elsewhere around the country, we still have a TFR active down on the border in South Texas, and look like we've got a permanent one that's over. It looks like Beale out in California, and then we've got one down in San Diego as well. And East Coast up here in what we call the brown zone now. That is the counterpart to the green zone, as you guys remember. But DC is now, with all the security and perimeters around it, actually more secure than the green zone was. So, but we're going to dub that the brown zone, and I think you guys know why. All right. Okay, and then it looks like we've got a TFR, but that TFR over DC is always there, been there for many years, and it will probably continue to stay. I don't see them lifting that, especially with all of the other accoutrement that they're putting into play along with it. So, and let's see, that didn't pick up my TFR. Let me back out of that, get down a little closer. All right, so here's our other TFR, which is a hazards TFR, which is just northwest of Plymouth. So, okay, all right, let me back out of the weather map piece. This is Radar 24, by the way, if you guys ever want to use it. It's a fantastic tool set to look at aviation weather, so you can look at TFRs and icing and things of that nature. So if you see some delays happening at an airport, this is kind of a good backup source to go look at, to give you a little more intel on whether it's weather related or not. And so but it also gives you fires and all kinds of stuff. So you can actually click on the filters over here and it'll show you every active fire going on across the United States. All right, and so we will pop out of this, and now we'll bounce over to our sniffer. And as you guys can see, our sniffer's been doing a little activity over Tampa, kind of the northeast side of Tampa. And so that's in preparation for the Super Bowl this weekend. And so those not familiar with the sniffer, again, this is our helo that is operated by the Department of Defense, goes by N411DE, okay? All right, and so now we'll head over to Guantanamo Bay. Looks like we've got some more troop rotations, got some stuff coming out of Jacksonville, and these Learjets actually are regular coming out of Fort Lauderdale. Those are contractor flights. So the Norfolk, again, these are going to be, that's a 757-200, and that's going to be coming out of Norfolk, Virginia, which is also just a standard run, comes in Tuesdays and usually Thursdays or Fridays. So nothing new, which is good news, popping in and out of Guantanamo Bay. So off to XPL Honduras, and we have no new updates there either. It looks like we've got just our last flight here, which is that little Bell 407 that was down there, let's see, on Thursday last week. Okay, over to our Maxwell bird, which is going to be N312FU. Now this one's kind of interesting because it's been flying around a lot these past couple days here. Landed about a day ago, came from Naples, Florida, over to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But prior to that, we can take a quick look here. You guys can see it was up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, from Naples. Okay, so it went from Grand Rapids down to Naples, but it started out in Baltimore, Washington, went over to Grand Rapids down to Naples into Lauderdale. And so Lauderdale is where that thing is based out of. So, all right. And so that is what we have going on with N312FU. All right, over to Camp Justice out in the middle of the Indian Ocean. That is actually, last flight we had was just recently, and that was a medical flight dubbed call sign Medic 15, came out of Singapore. That was on Wednesday the 27th. Okay, so, and it looks like that aircraft actually just did a round trip. So it looks like it rolled out of Diego Garcia back to Singapore. All right, round trip. And then after that, it looked like it went from Singapore out to Kolkata, India, and then from India over to back to Singapore. So okay, so that is Camp Justice. And so, okay, so now we've covered the prison locations. We still have Terciera we're going to cover, and I'll show you that one in just a minute, all right? So over to the Graybirds. It looks like landed about a day ago. This is the N163PA. Those not familiar with the Graybirds, these are operated by Phoenix Air, and that is a known agency service provider. Okay, and so this one looks like it has gone back from Malta into Greece. And let's see, just so we can look at the legwork on this in the last couple of days. So it started out on January 29th. At the end of the month, it went from Washington, D.C. back to Cartersville, which is home base. And then it went from Cartersville directly to Terra Sierra, which is one of our prison locations that we're eyeballing, okay? And then it went from Terra Sierra over to Malta into Greece, all right? And so we'll keep an eye on that one, continue to, because it's always interesting to see where these things go. They're pretty interesting little birds. All right, so that's that sister bird. This is in 173 PA. That one rolled out of Atlanta, went over to Cartersville. That's a quick hop, basically just jumping across a couple of neighborhoods. But let's take a look at where this one has been. And the reason I say that is because I'm going to bounce over to the No Justice Department of No Justice flight, and I'm going to show you where these things seem to connect. Okay. All right. So at the end of the month, this thing was out in Senegal. It was in the Congo, right? Then it left the Congo, went back over to Senegal over to Terra Sierra Island. Okay. So that puts it into our prison location. So it could have been a fuel stop, maybe not. We don't know. Okay. Now the next flight, this thing went from Terra Sierra over to Toronto, Canada. Okay, that's on February 1st. Now, why is that important? Well, I'm going to show you here in just a minute. Okay, so then it left Toronto on the 1st, which was yesterday, came back to ATL, Atlanta, and then it went over that little quick hop from Atlanta, DeKalb, over to Cartersville, Georgia, which is hop, skip, and a jump, 16 minutes. And so I don't even know if they put the gear up for that one. So, but why is that important? Because in Toronto, that's where our Just Us department is currently located. Okay, those guys arrived from Manassas, went up to there back on the 23rd, and then they did on the January 27th. They were there again in Toronto, Canada, and so they seem to be camping out. So we've got the U.S. Justice Department in Toronto, Canada, hanging out at this spot. All right, and then we've got this one that actually took a flight up to Toronto, Canada on the 1st. And so keep in mind, Justice is already there. And so these folks are bringing somebody up there, it looks like. So kind of interesting. And actually really interesting, the fact that it came out of Terra Sierra Island, went to there, right, to that location. So, okay, just a data point, but we will continue to watch it because I'm always interested in seeing what these guys are doing, especially if you know who they are servicing, okay? All right, so now on that note, we'll click on over to the latest and greatest with Trump. I just wanted to point something out, okay? We don't know that Trump is actually down in Florida. We are speculating at this point because he is laying mega low, and we don't see anything on his family or anything else for that matter. You know, his kids, his in-laws, staff, nobody, okay? And so we don't see an active TFR down there, which that typically would indicate that he is there, because I've never seen him actually put one down and then take it away from a president, knowing that that's going to be his residence. So I'm not sure what's going on there. It is a bit concerning, to be honest with you, if they are not providing him with proper security. So that said, I want to point out the fact that this impeachment, talking about this, that Trump is singularly responsible for the riot that took place on February 6th. Now, a reason I'm pointing that out is because I see another witch hunt in the making here, okay? And I don't think that they are trying to just impeach this guy. I think what they're trying to do is they're going to open the door to treason, I think is where this is going, okay? And they're going to try and blame him for that riot, stating that they were trying to do a coup against our government in terms of probably the senators and the House representatives that were there, okay? Say that because these people are very evil, okay? And I know they want to go after him with a vengeance. And this is, if you guys remember all of the data points that we were finding relative to things didn't seem right? The doors were unlocked, the Capitol Police were basically showing people how to get in. The camera angles, we've got so much stuff that we were gathering. And then you had the Great Purge, right? So immediately after that, they realized this false flag isn't going to go well because they're using their data against us. So what do? They purge all of us from Twitter. They shut down Parler and our other avenues, right? They're kicking people off of YouTube and everywhere else. So just data point, but I think the direction they are trying to go with this is that they're going to open the door to treason. All right, now we're just going to hop back over to our main map here and just take a look at some of the aircraft that are up. Looks like we've got a B-52 that's come out of Bossier City, Barksdale Air Force Base there right next to Shreveport. And that one is actually looks like, let me zoom in on this. It looks like we've got 2 aircraft here. Yeah, we do. So we've got all right, so that one's doing an air refueling. So that's kind of cool to watch that. But anyway, so it looks like we've got a B-52 and a KC-135 hooking up, doing a little gas and go just north of Dallas-Fort Worth. So that's up there in Oklahoma, just south of Oklahoma City, so south of Tulsa. All right. And it looks like we got a couple Sentries. So those are AWACS aircraft that are up. So that's Airborne Air Traffic Control. And then if we go out, I will tell you that the traffic that we were watching depart over the past week out of DC in terms of troop rotation or exfil, I don't see any of that happening right now. Everything seems to have slowed down in and out of DC. I will say the reports, guys on the ground that are actually getting some good footage of guys coming in on buses. Okay, and so if that's the case, they've gotten rid of the flights and now they're just busing troops in and out. So if I had to guess, I'd say there's probably about 10,000 soldiers currently in the brown zone. Okay. All right. So off to the West Coast. Yeah, it looks like we've got a lot of tankers, some C-130s, another tanker. So my guess, we got a handful of fighters up in this area. There's probably still ongoing red flag. We seem to be in the season of red flags right now. And so it looks like we've got C-130 rolling out of Tucson. And our regular, some H-53s and some H-60s down in the general area. Not seeing anything that makes me wonder what's going on. But over Hawaii, it looks like we don't have really anything going on in Hawaii. Now, we do have a C-5. Looks like that thing is dancing around out there around the Philippines, headed across the drink and into the, looks like it may be headed over or coming out of Diego Garcia, which is kind of interesting given the things that are starting to unfold over in the Middle East and in China relative to Taiwan. So we're trying to keep our eyes on that stuff as well. So UK looks to be pretty busy. So does Europe, actually. That is a ground station tower right there. And looks like we've got a little Navy bird. It's a CNV 515 rolling out, headed south. Another tanker, which is a U.S. Air Force tanker. So that one is doing a little bit of work. Let's see, what's the altitude on that one? 29,000 feet. So I don't know what the standard altitude is over there for doing air refueling, but it seems to be around 25,000, somewhere around that in the U.S., but that just from watching it over time. So, all right, UK, looks like we've got a bunch of helos up. And let's see, I don't know what, they look like this is usually training is what we usually see out here. So that is an Apache H-64 gunship. But the Apache is an incredible bird. The propeller blades on those actually have a swoop on the very tip of them. And the engineer that designed that propeller blade basically had been watching hawks and sparrows and other birds in their dive and how they were silent in their dive. And the reason they're silent is because their wings are swept, right? And so he put a feature, when he designed the helicopter blade, he put that feature so it's got that little kick on the end, on the tip. It makes it silent. And so that thing is insane because it'll literally can be flying right over you, and you don't know until he is on top of you that he's even there. He's so quiet. So pretty amazing engineering feat. when you think about it, going back, if you look at Hueys and you look at like this H-47, which is a Chinook, you can hear them for miles. And so to have a helo that can just roll right in quietly is a pretty amazing thing. So looks like we've got an Osprey V-22 out. These are all U.S., or at least that one is a U.S. aircraft. And so let's see, tanker, looks like that thing just rolled through. That blue square right there is an air refueling zone, so to speak. They don't do it on tracks like we do in the U.S. Over there. They just give them basically an allotted space, and that's what they work within. So, okay, another AWACS. That is a NATO AWACS. So that is another Sentry, and he is in a tight pattern. Looks like he's just flying over one spot. That's a UK one as well. So interesting. All right. Okay. Well, that's pretty much it, folks. So listen, you guys be safe out there. I don't really know what is happening in terms of Trump. We'll keep our eye on that stuff just to see if he ever surfaces relative to his location. But and DC looks to be very interesting these days. So we'll just continue to monitor and see if we get traffic going in and out. But right now it looks like all of the traffic leaving DC has come to an end. So you guys be safe. God bless. Monkey out.